many of us are leaders, whether in a formal way or an informal way. Very often we have a role to collect a group of people together and achieve a task that could not be achieved otherwise. And so it's important for us, certainly on the path, to develop skills and understandings of what leadership is. And it's not discussed enough, I don't think, in the spiritual community. I see everything in the 7 words system. So we begin with the word no, and you need strong boundaries to be a leader, because there will always be a challenge. In Sufism, this is called the jinn spirit, the mischievous, non-physical naughtiness in a room, really. It embodies itself in a person. You're always going to get the jinn, always. Assume so anyway. And so you firstly have to claim your space as the leader. For this period of time, in this kind of situation, I'm the boss. You know, if you don't do that, you're not leading the group. Now, it didn't have to be quite so outrageously kind of claiming as that, but it can be in subtle forms, you know. You greet everyone as they arrive in a certain way that the leader does, and you're the first one to speak, and so on. So you claim the role as a leader by establishing the rules and then enforcing the rules. And if you think that a group is a group without rules and boundaries, then we're talking about 2 different things. I'm talking about a group that exists, not an informal kind of coming and going. That's not the kind of gathering that we're talking about. We're talking about a well-defined period of time. And that's a part of the boundaries. We start then, we finish here, and this is the number of people that we allow. And then you become clear on principles like punctuality and leaving before the end. If you don't get all of the people in the group to start at the same time and finish at the same time, then there isn't the power that there would be if this group begins and ends at the same time, maintains clear focus throughout. And the mysteries of what a group is and what we're doing with the group unfold on a very subtle level. It's much more than it seems. However, one of the things that we have to do when we're leading a group is to entertain people. And we're coming to the word hello in the 7-word system. Entertainment or interest in people, or even informing people, or even instructing people, all of these ways of collecting a group together, that's a necessary component of the group, but it's not all that we're doing within the group. There's more to it than that. But this language that we're using together, it might be that I teach astrology or dance or whatever, and astrology and dance, that's the language we're using to relate together, the lingua franca of the group. And that's what colours the resonance of the group. So if I'm teaching tarot, I'm expecting to find some sensitive people with belief in the possibility of mediumship. Whereas if I'm talking dance, I'm talking about people who can coordinate their physicality and have a musicality about them. So the language that you're using to bind your group into a group sets the resonance of what that group is optimal for. So it would be silly teaching astrology to a dance group. They just wouldn't have the same kind of depth of experience. Equally, try getting astrologers to dance. That doesn't work all the time. Horses for courses is what we say in England. Now, the third aspect of leadership is associated with the third word, thanks. And this is a heart-centered energy. So it has to be a pleasant experience. The group has to enjoy being a part of the group on some level. Now, I know there are plenty of groups and leaders who don't introduce this quality. This is one of the weakest qualities used in the corporate world. And yet it's a power, and it should not be omitted. Not for sentimental reasons, it's a power. And any leadership that does not include a sense of esprit de corps on one level, if it's the military, where you actually love each other. You don't call it love, but you like each other, you'd miss each other, it's love. And we have to acknowledge that as a group binds itself together bit by bit by bit over time, then this quality develops, and you become fonder of this group of people individually than you were before, and the group becomes loving and caring, and there's a beautiful quality that unfolds. So the leader is going to lead the group into that by becoming more soft and loving and trusting and caring and behaving much more like this is a family. And so the division between I, who am leading, and you, who are listening, that softens because of this energy, and eventually it's really comfortable for everyone, and the leader is well defined but not feared or distanced from. Now when we come to the fourth energy, this is called goodbye in the 7-word system, which means that the past is gone. We're doing something different now. This is a transformation. Goodbye is the energy of transformation. And the leader has to do something. It has to change the student group, the group itself, from what they were to what they are next. And that will go through something like a eureka experience. Like a realization has to occur. So you teach in order to bring about that level of shift. This is what you used to think. That doesn't work. This is what you think now. That process. And that very often needs careful planning. So this whole sense of management of a group arises within this fourth idea. You have to manage your groups by deciding what it is that you're doing, making a plan, making a strategy, and writing it. I write it down and keep that information in my pocket. I never refer to it, and I never even keep to my plans. But there's something about planning which gets the mind thinking, a bit like Mars. I'm going to do something here, take action. And so if you've got the action plan organized, then you've got the energy to create action. It doesn't really matter what direction it goes in. And we come to the fifth point now, associated with please, which this group is not the individual leader expressed. It's not that. It started that way, maybe, but now it's a group, and it's becoming more and more necessary for the leader simply to be spokesperson and facilitator. So facilitating the process whereby everyone's point of view is taken into account, whereby somebody is more confident and clear-minded about stating their vision of the future for themselves, and how that might help bind the group together. So the group is being bound now. Individual relationships are occurring within the group, not simply teacher and A, B, C, D, E, but they're all connecting, and that is creating a network, and therefore synergy. And then the group is becoming more than it was before. It's moved into a different dimension where synergy operates. Instead of leadership and group people following, it's a different thing now. The group has coalesced into its own energy form. And so it's rather more difficult to end the group then than it is to get it going. This has gone through the fourth stage of transmutation, from birth towards this adulthood of the group, shall we call it. And so the leader's job then is to sort of facilitate the collective vision of the group and suggest the next step. Now, when we get to the sixth level, associated with sorry, we start bringing sparkle to the group, so the agency of feedback. It's good to start with the idea that the leader at the beginning knows more than any other individual. Hence, they are the leader. But when the group becomes a group, then the coalesced knowledge bank of the group exceeds the leaders and any other individuals, of course, completely. So in the sixth frame, we're saying, let the leader not be leading anymore, except to be like a chairman. Okay, that's what you think, that's what you think. So collectively, this is what we think, this is what we've decided. Have I got your point right? Taking this more yin role and taking all the feedback into account. So Joe said this, Mary said that, what if we do this? Processing the feedback. And then in the seventh point, we've got the yes energy. And the leader's job eventually is to stop leading and allow the group to unfold. And if it does, then we get into more mystical realms. Now, in these mystical realms, so this might apply to more spiritual groups, where you have a role as on a priestly kind of sense. This is a secret taught in Sufism called fana. And there are 3 levels of it. Fana, I might not be saying it properly. Fana fi Sheikh, Fana fi Rasul, and Fana fi Lillah. Now, the idea of Fana fi Sheikh is that the Sheikh is the group leader. That's what we're talking about here. Fana means self-effacement. I am nothing. And Fana fi Sheikh means that the student turns off their own ego needs and surrender into the authority of the Sheikh, in order that the Sheikh, the leader, can surrender their ego needs and surrender to the spirit of guidance, Rasul, Fana fi Rasul. And then the Rasul, which is prophets that we know through history, surrender to God, Fana fi Lillah. So this need we have to stop our students interrupting us and causing a stir, this need is this process of Fana fi Sheikh. This is to enable us not to have to guard against interruption, but to be able to surrender and to start channeling on a much deeper level. So it's not only that you've got to keep your students from interrupting you to keep a sense of mutuality, of respect and discipline within the group, which is difficult, but it's also that when you do that, you get a higher level teaching. So getting that kind of discipline in the group is an important stage of empowering the group. Anyway, there's a few clues about leadership that might be helpful.